Hey guys, so today I want to give you my experience wearing Creed's Royal Mayfair, which I think is one of Creed's finest, but it's not really for everyone. It's for a little bit of a more mature audience, and we'll get into that as we talk about the smell. Now with Creed, when I first got familiar with their more popular offerings like Aventus or Viking, Millésime Imperial, I was a little bit disappointed. Now I'll take Viking out of what I just said because I do like Viking, but in general, I thought initially that the scents were a little bit boring, and for the prices they're charging, it's just too much, right? And you're not getting enough for your money. But with scents like Green Irish Tweed, that's what really got me in appreciating the house. And really, they do have some really great, unique offerings. And I think that's where Royal Mayfair fits in, sort of not as talked about because it's not as mass appealing a kind of scent as something like Aventus. But I do think that if you're paying that much money for perfume and if you're a collector, really the more appealing fragrances are those that are really distinctive and really give you an experience that you don't find in other fragrances. That's the whole point to me of having a collection with different kinds of scents, not scents that smell similar. So with Royal Mayfair, I believe, the backstory you can kind of look into, and I'm sure you might be familiar, but it was a perfume that was called something like Windsor before, and then it got renamed. They still list the heart note as Rose of Windsor, I think, to make it sound fancy. But if you look at the notes, they're not really telling of what this smells like, and it remains really a mystery until you get your nose on it. You have notes like lime and gin, and I think bergamot, and in the heart, pretty much rose. And in the base, you have eucalyptus, which is the unique kind of note, and cedar. And so when you have notes like eucalyptus and gin, it's really hard to tell what that smells like. So let's give it a spray like always. Yeah. So my initial impression was actually, I really liked it, but then there's something there that made me a little bit uncertain whether I wanted, a full bottle of this kind of scent. And I think that is sort of the appeal of this fragrance. There's an intriguing element, and it's maybe I don't drink enough gin to really be familiar with the feel and the smell. But to me, I get more of a tea accord actually. And the kind of tea is sort of like a black tea accord. So when you put all these things together like rose, eucalyptus and gin and citruses, all together to me, it creates a little bit of a tea scent in having this kind of calming quality with a little bit of fruity sweetness infused into it, and you get a little more of that in the dry down. But in the opening, you get more of this sort of kind of incensey type of smell and feel, which I really like. I think there is absolutely no incense in here listed, but it gives you the similar feel that incense often gives in fragrances, where it has this sort of slightly smoky, calming kind of feel to it, and that's what I get here. And to me, it's sort of like a bitter black tea with some sweetness under there as well. And what I really love about Royal Mayfair is I mentioned in the beginning, it's kind of a distinctive scent. There's really nothing you could compare this to. It has so much character. It's full of life, and it's transportive. So it has this very British vibe, and you really, again, have to smell it, and you'll probably agree there's a kind of British feel and flair to this fragrance. To me, more specifically, it has also a little bit of this kind of, in addition to the tea feel, like a black tea, there's a little bit of this leathery, dusty quality as well, which kind of pushes it into the more mature scent territory, but also kind of makes this intriguing and mysterious. And in terms of scenery, I think about sort of like an old library. It has a bit of an old book or old dusty furniture kind of smell in a good sense, where it has this sort of a lot of history, right? That's sort of what you smell. It's like visiting a cathedral when you visit Europe. It has that kind of appeal. And that's what I really love about this scent. There is this very like soothing, calming quality, again, because of that slightly smoky touch. But what really keeps it from going into too mature of a territory, in my opinion, is this kind of sweetness, just a touch of sweetness, the same way that you can have like a citrus scented tea. It's the same idea where you do have a little bit of that sweetness, and I think that's where kind of the gin also comes into play. It has this sort of refreshing tonic feel while having that kind of old vintage dusty library sort of quality to it. And it's a really, really nice contrast. And the one other point I'll make about the scent is that there is this green element. And again, it's its own kind of green. Nothing like petitgrain, nothing so herbal like rosemary, but really it's more like, it reminds me of trees and, either like sequoia trees or just like trees with these large leaves with water dripping from them. That kind of really airy and hydrated kind of feel. So this has that refreshing element, which I really love, and I think that is also coming from this combination of eucalyptus, some florals, right? The rose, really kind of bringing everything together, and then you have this gin. Whatever that is, right? Whatever that smells like in a fragrance. Basically, I've told you sort of what I'm getting, which is more like this calming, slightly smoky, herbal green, but with a slight touch of sweetness. Beautiful scent. And I think, I'm still trying to make up my mind of whether I'm going to get a full bottle of this, but I do think that in terms of uniqueness, just 10 out of 10 and so underrated. Actually, I think people who have discovered this scent do really enjoy it. And I think in particular, enthusiasts really love this kind of scent. So if you're looking for something different, right, you're not necessarily looking for compliments. I mean, this is leaning a little bit mature for the older guy. There's a really kind of classy feel to it. Smells like a British gent, right? So if you like those fragrances or you're an